Hello everyone and welcome back to the Callus Corner in this week's edition of Stock Pick Sunday. Even though a lot of you are probably going to see this on Saturday, but we've already had in the past 4 weeks 6 tickers that have run 100% or more. IFAN, FBCD, PJET, Ivda, PUGE, and IFXY. And there's going to be a lot more coming in the near future because the OTC market is just now warming up. So if you don't want to miss any of these videos, please hit that subscribe button below. And if you love to slap the ass, then hit that like button below as well. And as always, if you're a market dumping little
Say what?
then you can hit that dislike button. Now let's get into the tickers. Guys, the first hot ticker we're going to talk about today is SPZI, which is Spooz Inc. As you can see, they are pink currently. They have a market cap of 35 million. They have a held at DTC and are unrestricted of 4.6 billion. As you can see in a tweet from Wild Rhino, it says SPZI Spooz Paradigm Pro is an electronic trading platform that will also allow cryptocurrency transactions. Images below display its features. What are some examples of trading platforms? E-Trade, TDA, Fidelity, Charles Schwab. Reminder, 1 of 4 PRs will be released pre-market on Tuesday. On Spooz Inc.'s official Twitter page, you can see that they develop, market, and sell electronic trading, market analysis, and trading decision support software solutions. And what they announced earlier on October the 6th was after thoroughly researched consideration and in the spirit of fairness, Spooz will publish news pre-market Tuesday. If you can't buy SPZI at your broker that's on OTC, if you can't find a broker to facilitate trades, that's on you. We must be fair to the existing shareholders too. So they're looking at putting out news before the market opens on Tuesday. So I look for that to be a huge catalyst. Monday should make this thing run. This is the weekly chart for SPZI. It ended the day at 0.0071. Way back here in April, this thing did actually touch 1 cent. We are pushing that very hard right now. If we go back to the day chart, which is what I like to look at, there's not a lot of lines I can draw here, guys, because this thing is just taking off. It went from here and pulled one of these, and then I guess we could draw another line here. But I mean, it's pretty much going straight up. It wouldn't surprise me to have a little bit of a pullback. However, this thing ran almost to 1 cent. So we hit 0.0088 and had a huge pullback to 0.0071. I honestly think this thing, if it does have a dip, we are going to just curl back up. If you look down here at the MACD, this thing is just saying it's taking off. So if this thing dumps on you, the MACD ain't going to tell you anything because the MACD says it's absolutely flying. But in my opinion, this is probably a pretty good buy zone. Up here, I'd have been a little skeptical about it, but it's pulled back nicely to the 0.007. They have news coming out on Tuesday. So I feel like this thing is going to run on Monday. So keep an eye on SPZI. The next ticker I want to cover is one I've covered on many of these episodes already, IFAN. It had a huge run up to 5.2 cents. It's had a huge pullback into the 2 cent range, and now that thing is starting to climb back up. One of the things that came out a couple weeks ago was that the officers were being changed and that their filings were put out. Well, as you can see here on OTC Marketplace, that still has not changed. So we're waiting for those company officers and contacts to be updated on the OTC Marketplace. And the last official tweet that we had from anyone on IFAN was from Krisa Management, which says, IFAN has been sold. New company will issue updates once the transfer of control is complete. That was on September 10th. So we're looking to find out at any minute, anytime this week, who actually has purchased IFAN. I'm looking for those OTC marketplaces officers to be updated. That's going to be a huge catalyst coming up for IFAN. And you'll see in the chart that I think this is a really great place to buy. Here's the chart for IFAN. As you can see, this thing ran all the way to 5.2 cents and then just had this massive sell-off for 3 days in a row, all the way back down to almost 2 cents, which we also had this little support sitting right here at 2 cents. I did start buying back in right here, and I've been riding this up. There is some resistance right here at the 2.69 level. I think any news whatsoever can push that. It did break that on Friday, but then pulled back. A lot of people were talking about dilution in IFAN. It got everyone scared to death. Oh my goodness, the new company's coming in and they're just selling off shares. Well, I want to show you something real quick. This is the chart for FERN. FERN ran all the way to 6.6 cents. And where did it fall back to? 2.57. In my opinion, I think that is more of a percentage loss than IFAN, and no one was out there yelling that FERN is diluting their stock. This was just what happened over those past 4 or 5 days in the stock market. Everything ran super hard in September, and then everything had a huge pullback, and now we're starting to see all of these stocks starting to curl back up. As you can see here in the MACD, someone mentioned in one of the comments on my last video, you don't have any MACD or anything. Well, one of the reasons I don't like to really look at that a whole lot is because as you can see what the MACD is saying, if I'm only looking at the MACD, that thing is saying sell IFAN. Well, I bought in at the 2 cent mark, which is when that thing started going back up. Now, we are starting to see the target indicator starting to curl, but the MACD line is still going down. In my opinion, this thing is going to start curling back up in the histogram, and we're actually going to go for a run right here. The OTC is very hard for technical analysis. That's why I prefer to look at resistance lines more than these lagging indicators, because the MACD is a lagging indicator. In my opinion, we're going to either consolidate in this area right here, or IFAN may absolutely go on a run if we see those officers updated on the OTC marketplace. So I'm going to keep a strong eye out on IFAN, and I'm going to continue to add shares. One of the hottest stocks in the OTC right now is PUGE, which is PJET Technologies. We covered this last week as well, well into the dubs. That thing is blown past the pennies, and it just continues to grind. It has a huge following behind it and looks to be turning into another cult type stock play. Everyone thinks this is the next CYBL because of all the acquisitions. As you can see on their website, their mission is acquisition growth investing, pre-IPO incubator program, business development, and special purpose acquisition companies. One of the reasons PUGE continues to run and has had no pullbacks is because of the transparency that the company is having on Twitter and putting out information and just dropping bombs on a weekly basis. They started on September 10th. The plans are starting to come together. We've signed 2 more letters of intent for healthcare acquisitions, details below. On September 13th, a new letter from our chairman of the board is out. Here's a company update. Also on September 30th, we're so excited about all the progress we've made during Q3, and we can't wait to tell you about it. We've also had on October 6th, as promised, we have many updates to share about what we've been working on. Here's the first one, a signed LOI. We're waiting for about 4 or 5 more of those LOIs. On October 7th, another announcement. We have added a chief legal officer to our management team. You can see details below. On October 7th, an update on BCSF. Our management team, headed by our new chief legal and compliance officer, is scheduled for a multi-day compliance review this month. They also tweeted on the same day, we're not done with our updates. Stay tuned tomorrow and next week for more. And lastly, as market closed on Friday, today's update, our corporate presence is now in place in Puerto Rico. More news to follow next week, along with an update on our headquarters office location in Boca Raton. This thing has already ran 100% since we first discussed it. Let's take a look at its chart as well. PUGE, this is once again is the weekly chart. It blew past its all-time highs with no issues whatsoever. This thing has been an absolute beast. You can see that it did pull back a little bit and then absolutely just took off running once again. Hit as high as 0.144 cents before it ended the day at 0.137, which was super strong. Let's take a look at the day chart. Once again, there's not a whole lot of technical analysis you can do on a stock like this. The thing's just absolutely beasting, and it's beasting straight up. So it's very difficult to even put in a channel, for that matter, the way this thing is trading. So right now it is sitting at the top of what I would consider this upward channel. So it may have a pullback. This thing has ran very strong, but it did have 2 red days in here. So it wouldn't surprise me in the least for this thing to have an absolutely another huge green candle with as much news that PUG is putting out. So keep an eye on this. If you can get a pullback down here in the 1.2s, maybe an absolutely perfect buy. If you could even get lucky enough for a pullback down here into the 1.15s, excellent buy. So be very careful on your entries, but PUGE, I feel like, is going to continue to run this week. Our last ticker we're going to discuss today is DDDX, which is 3DX Industries Inc., digital metal printing. This stock has absolutely been on fire this week, and I've not heard of many people discussing it on Twitter very often. They have several different client projects they are working on. They're eco-friendly, cost-effective, expert support. And as you can see down here, they have printed thousands of parts encompassing many different projects for hundreds of industries, including green alternate energy, medical industry, aerospace and automotive, and consumer and prototypes. One of the main reasons DDDX, I think, ran this week is because of this tweet that was put out on September the 29th. Being in the state of Washington by default, we have always been involved in aerospace, manufacturing. Boeing and Blue Origin are both in our backyard. And as you notice, they tagged those two individuals. We believe space tourism will grow and we will be involved. And in an official press release on April the 28th, 3DX Industries put out that they are doubling its metal printing capabilities. And one of the quotes down below by the Roger Jansen, CEO and chairman of 3DX Industries, is our relentless pursuit of expanding capabilities helps us service more customers in a timely manner. And then on July the 30th, in another press release, 3DX signs letter of intent to acquire manufacturing facility real estate. They announced today that it has signed a letter of intent to acquire Specialty Metalworks LLC, which includes a 5-acre land parcel and manufacturing facility. If we look at the share structure for DDDX, it is absolutely amazing. It is sitting currently with a market cap of only 16 million shares, and it is only at 20 cents currently, or 19 cents. On Monday, this thing was sitting at about 10 cents, so we've almost ran 100% this week. There's only 84 million outstanding shares. There's only 32 million held at DTC. The float on this thing could get locked. This thing could absolutely fly on any news whatsoever. Let's take a look at the chart. And here's the chart for DDDX. As you can see, this thing absolutely went on a tear last week. This, once again, is the weekly chart. Almost 100% gains last week alone. I do believe that's because of the aerospace information that they did put out. It did have a high way back when, looks like in February of 23 cents. I think this thing is getting ready to test those highs. We do have a resistance sitting right here at the 20.38 cent range, which we did test and get very close to on Friday. So be very careful about this resistance level. Let's take a look at the one-day chart. Once again, I was looking at this stock last week. I almost covered it last Sunday because I mainly just absolutely loved the consolidation in this horizontal channel. There are some other stocks came up, so I covered it instead. I decided I was going to cover this probably Monday of last week, and then of course it takes off and runs on me before I can get a video out. Right now, this thing just absolutely went on a tear. So we have this upward channel, and once again, just like PUGE, we're sitting at the top of that channel. So you got to be very careful with an entry. This thing has a super low market cap and a very low float. So this thing can absolutely fly and move with ease. I've noticed in watching the trading on this on a day-to-day, there's very low liquidity. So any volume at all, I think, could run this another 100%. I'll just be honest with you. So if they come up with big news and people get their eyes on this, it could absolutely blow through these resistance levels and be at all-time highs in no time. If you can get a pullback on this thing back down into the 17s, if you're really concerned about your risk management, take a look at that. You might find a really nice place to buy right in here around the 16.59 range. Once again, the MACD is just flying up because the thing is going straight up in the air. But once again, I think DDX is going to be a great company going into the fall because there's not a lot of these pink current, low float, good share structure stocks left to get into once all these SEC requirements get finished out. So all of these low price companies are absolutely going to fly this fall. And I'm excited about it, and I'm going to be doing my research now so that I can be ahead of the curve then. Guys, if you enjoyed this video and learned anything new, please subscribe to the channel, drop a like down below, and until next time, we will see you in the next video.